volver a, volver a. It's a very common thing to add a to certain Spanish verbs. Volver a, empezar a, ponerse a, okay? So it's a common thing to do in Spanish. Not all the time, but it's just a common thing that could happen. So volver a, volver. Remember, the V sound in Spanish is very similar to the B as in bell sound in English. So volver, volver, volver a. Volver is a verb, by the way. This one right here. Volver is a verb. And this verb has some meanings. Volver means to return, to come back. Okay, so if you are coming back to a place, you can use this verb. Or if you are, returning as well, you can use the verb volver. And when you add a, the meaning changes. The meaning changes. Volver a, volver a. It changes a little bit, not like a lot, but it changes. It does. So volver a means to do something again or to do something over. Okay, so if you have to do something again because something happened, you forgot what you made back at home and you have to do something or make something again, you can use this verb for those situations, in those situations. So keep that in mind, that when you add a, you are saying, when you add a to volver, volver a means that you are doing something again. Okay, so if you want to use this verb, let me tell you that volver is an irregular verb. So it has some irregularities. You need to know its conjugation for sure. It can be irregular. It is an irregular verb. So just keep that in mind. Let's look at some examples using volver a, volver a. So the first example is, volvió a llamar a su amigo. Volvió a llamar a su amigo. And this means she called her friend back or again. So we're talking about doing something again, doing something over. In this situation, we're talking about someone having to call someone back because maybe she missed the call, or maybe it's very likely that she just missed the call. So in that situation, you can use volver a. Volver a. So let's break this down. Let's see how this verb works, or phrase rather. I mean, it's both very much. Okay, volvió. Volvió. You could say ella volvió. Okay, ella means she, but I don't have it here because in Spanish we do not use personal pronouns all the time. We don't say yo, ella, él, él, nosotros, vosotros. No, we don't say them all the time unless we want to specify. Okay, so volvió means she called. Okay, now let's right, hang on a second. Volvió a. Volvió a means she did something again. Okay? She did something again. I'm not including cold because when we just talk about this verb just like that, volver a, it's very vague. We're not saying what this something is, but we know that it has to happen again. This person had to do something again. So volvió a refers to that. And then when you add the verb, the action, what is she doing again? Then we can add a second verb that it has to be in the infinitive form. So do not conjugate it. Just leave it as is. You leave the verb as is. Keep that in mind. So volvió a llamar means she called again. Okay, I know in English you have present tense, so past tense, called. She called, right? But we have the past tense in volver. Okay, we don't have it here. Llamar means to call. So you need to have, when using two verbs in Spanish, you have to have the first one conjugated and the other one will not be conjugated. Okay, so that's why we have volvió, present tense, past tense, and then we have the second verb not conjugated. Okay, so volvió a llamar a, well, by the way, llamar a is another phrase by itself, phrasal verb. That means, when you call someone on the phone, okay? When you call someone on the phone, or when you're just calling someone, like saying, "Hey, Miguel, I need to talk to you." You're getting your friend's attention. You're calling your friend. You're saying his name out loud because you want him to come where you are or whatever, something like that. So it's a common thing. I actually talked about this one, llamar a, in the last stream. On the last stream, I was talking about this. So feel free to browse my channel to find that one. Yeah, that stream was pretty recent. Okay, so when you say volvió a llamar a, that means she called again. Okay, and then a just refers to, hey, I'm gonna add more information to the sentence. I'm gonna tell you who she needed to call, in the first place. And so su, we have su, her. That's what it means. It can mean his as well. Amigo, very common. It's a very common Spanish word that means friend. Okay. Volvió a llamar a su amigo. She called her friend again. Okay. So it's very interesting how the sentence works, how Spanish works in general, because we have the conjugation here, not here. And in English, you have it here. And then you just add again, right? So it's completely different. I mean, it's Spanish and English, both are different, completely different languages. That's why it's not a good idea to translate word by word because sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, so let's look at the next example using volver a. Volver a. Volvieron a ver la película. Volvieron a ver la película. So this means they watched the movie again. Okay, maybe they really loved the movie and they wanted to watch it again, and that's a total, I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense. You can do that. You can do that, right? So you can do things over for many reasons. So let's break this down and let's see how the sentence works. Volvieron, volvieron, ellos volvieron. We don't need ellos. We don't need ellos unless you want to be very specific. Maybe you want to say ellas. Ellas, feminine they, okay? But volvieron means they. We included that. By the way, volvieron doesn't, I mean, it's just, it doesn't mean they. Volvieron a means they did something again. Once again, we are very vague. I cannot tell you specifically, here's the literal translation because it just doesn't work. It doesn't apply. But when you say volvieron a, so you're just saying that they did something again. Okay, I have that information. Now, we are adding ver. Ver is the second verb that we can add after the phrase, right? And that means, ver means quite a few things. It means to watch, it means to see, it means to look at, okay? It depends on the situation. In this specific situation, it means watched, okay? And once again, in English, you have this verb watched or watch conjugated in present tense, past tense. It already passed, but in this particular scenario in Spanish, you have to conjugate the first verb, which means this one, volver, because you're using it, and the second verb you don't, okay? Now, la vi película. Película means movie. Película. Remember the right intonation. We have an accent mark as well on the letter I. Película. If we didn't have the tilde or the accent mark, it would be pronounced like película. And it doesn't make sense. So just remember to add the accent mark, película, just to have good grammar. Okay? So volver a, remember, volver a means to do something over, to do something again. It could be because you have to, because you want to do it again, because you loved watching that movie. So many situations. You can use this phrase in many situations.